Dr. Rebecca Martinez rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working at the radio telescope for 12 hours straight. The night shift was always quiet, but tonight something was different. The computers were picking up strange signals from space. "Kevin, come look at this," she called to her partner across the room. Dr. Kevin Blake was eating his third cup of coffee and reading reports from the day shift. He walked over to Rebecca's desk and looked at the data on her screen. "What am I looking at?" Kevin asked. The screen showed numbers and graphs that meant nothing to most people, but Rebecca and Kevin were experts. They had spent years listening to space, hoping to hear something that was not natural. "This signal came from the direction of Proxima Centauri," Rebecca said. Her voice was shaking a little. "It's not random. Look at the pattern." Kevin studied the data more carefully. The signal was not like the radio waves that stars and planets made naturally. It was organized. It had a pattern that repeated every few minutes. Someone or something had made this signal on purpose. "Are you sure this is not from Earth?" Kevin asked. Sometimes satellites or radio stations on Earth would bounce signals around and make them look like they came from space. "I checked 3 times," Rebecca said. "This is coming from another star system. And Kevin, there's more. The computer has been decoding the signal for the past hour." She opened another window on her computer screen. Inside was a translation that made both scientists freeze. The message was short but clear. Warning to all peaceful species. Stay away from the third planet of the yellow star. The Deathworlders have awakened. They are coming for us all. Kevin sat down hard in his chair. "Deathworlders, are they talking about us?" Rebecca nodded slowly. "Earth is the third planet from our sun. And our sun is a yellow star. They have to be talking about us." The two scientists stared at the message for a long time. All their lives, they had wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now they knew they were not alone. But the aliens were not trying to say hello. They were warning each other about humanity. "We need to call the director," Kevin said. "At 3 in the morning?" Rebecca asked. "Rebecca, we just proved that aliens exist. And they think we're dangerous. I think Dr. Patterson will want to know about this right away." Rebecca picked up the phone and dialed their boss. Dr. Patricia Patterson had been running the observatory for 15 years. She was tough and smart, and she did not like being woken up unless it was important. "This better be good," Dr. Patterson said when she answered the phone. "We received a signal from space," Rebecca said. "It's artificial. It's from another star system, and it mentions Earth." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Dr. Patterson said, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't touch anything. Don't tell anyone, and keep recording everything." While they waited for their boss to arrive, Rebecca and Kevin studied the signal more carefully. The message was not just a warning. Hidden inside the transmission were other pieces of information. Star maps, lists of numbers, pictures that looked like they might be of different planets. "Look at this," Kevin said, pointing to part of the data. "These numbers could be coordinates. Locations of star systems. And these pictures," Rebecca added. "They look like planets, but they're also perfect. Look at this one. No clouds, no storms, no ice. Just green and blue and peaceful." When Dr. Patterson arrived, she looked at the data for a long time without speaking. She was a small woman, with gray hair, but she had a reputation for being very careful about her work. She did not believe in things unless she could prove them. "Run the analysis again," she finally said. "Check everything twice. If this is real, it's the most important discovery in human history." They spent the next 3 hours checking their work. The signal was definitely real. The message was definitely artificial, and the source was definitely not from Earth. "We need to contact the government," Dr. Patterson said when they finished. "This is too big for just us to handle." "What do you think they meant by Deathworlders?" Rebecca asked. Dr. Patterson looked at the message again. "I don't know. But if aliens are warning each other about us, there must be a reason." By sunrise, the observatory was full of people. Government officials arrived in black cars. Military officers in uniform walked around asking questions. Scientists from universities across the country flew in to study the data. Rebecca found herself in a room with people she had only seen on television. The head of NASA was there. The Secretary of Defense sat at a long table with generals and admirals. Even the president's science advisor had flown in from Washington. "Dr. Martinez," said General Patrick Johnson, "tell us exactly what you found." Rebecca explained everything again. She showed them the signal, the translation, and the additional data that had been hidden in the transmission. The room was very quiet as she spoke. "So, aliens exist," said Dr. Amanda Foster, the NASA administrator. "And they think we're dangerous." "That's what it looks like," Rebecca said. "Why would they think that?" asked Admiral Susan Wright from the Navy. "We've never even left our solar system." "Maybe they've been watching us," suggested Kevin. "Our radio and television signals have been traveling through space for almost a century. If they have sensitive equipment, they could have been monitoring us for decades." The president's science advisor, Dr. Nathan Ross, spoke up. "What have they seen if they've been watching us? 2 world wars, natural disasters, nuclear weapons. From the outside, we might look pretty violent." "But we're not violent by nature," protested Dr. Patterson. "We're explorers, we're curious. We want to learn about the universe." "Try explaining that to someone who has never seen war," said General Johnson. "If these aliens come from peaceful worlds, they might not understand that we fight because we have to, not because we want to." The meeting continued for hours. They discussed what the message meant, what they should do about it, and whether they should tell the public. In the end, they decided to keep it secret while they learned more. "We need to decode more of this signal," said Dr. Foster. "If there's additional information hidden in the transmission, we need to find it. And we need to figure out who sent it," added Admiral Wright. "Are these aliens trying to help us? Or are they organizing against us?" As the meeting broke up, Rebecca found herself alone with Kevin in the hallway. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked. "By finding the signal? We didn't have a choice. It was there." "No, I mean by reporting it. Maybe we should have kept it secret." Kevin looked at her seriously. "Rebecca, if aliens think we're dangerous, we need to know why. And if they're planning to do something about it, we need to be ready." That night, Rebecca could not sleep. She kept thinking about the message. Somewhere out there, in the darkness between the stars, there were other intelligent beings. They knew about Earth. They knew about humans. And they were afraid. She wondered what kind of worlds these aliens came from. The pictures in the data suggested planets that were calm and safe. No storms, no earthquakes, no ice ages. Places where life could grow and develop without constantly fighting to survive. Earth was different. Humans had evolved on a world that was beautiful but dangerous. They had survived ice ages and asteroid impacts. They had learned to work together to overcome challenges that would destroy other species. Maybe that was what made humans scary to aliens from peaceful worlds. Not that they were evil, but that they were survivors. They were the species that had looked at a hostile universe and refused to give up. Rebecca finally fell asleep wondering what would happen when the two types of beings finally met face to face. 3 weeks had passed since the first alien signal was discovered. Dr. Kevin Blake had barely slept during that time. He spent every waking hour at the observatory, running the alien transmission through different computer programs. Each day brought new discoveries that made him more excited and more worried at the same time. "Rebecca, you need to see this," Kevin called across the room. It was 2 in the morning, but neither scientist cared about normal sleeping hours anymore. They were too close to understanding something incredible. Dr. Rebecca Martinez hurried over to Kevin's workstation. The government had given them new computers that were much more powerful than anything they had used before. Military encryption experts worked alongside the scientists, trying to decode every piece of the alien message. "I found more data hidden in the signal," Kevin said. His voice was tired but excited. "It's not just a warning message. There are files buried in the transmission. Lots of files." Rebecca looked at the screen, where before they had only seen the simple warning about Deathworlders. Now there were dozens of new documents. "What kind of files? Star maps, biological data?" something that looks like a history book. And Rebecca, there's a classification system. They have files on hundreds of different worlds. Kevin opened the first file. It showed a three-dimensional map of nearby star systems. Each star had a number next to it, and many had small symbols that looked like they represented planets with life. "Look at this," Kevin said, pointing to their own solar system. "They call our sun yellow star 7739, and Earth is labeled as class 12 Deathworld. Rebecca, class 12 is the highest number on their scale." Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. "What does that mean?" Kevin opened another file. This one contained what looked like a scientific report about different types of planets. The text was in the alien language, but their computers had been working on translation for weeks. "According to this," Kevin said, reading from the screen, "most planets with life are Class 1 or Class 2. Those are worlds with stable weather, no natural disasters, and gentle conditions. The aliens call them garden worlds." He scrolled through more of the document. "Class 3 and 4 worlds have some challenges. Maybe they have seasons or occasional storms. Class 5 worlds might have earthquakes sometimes or periods of drought." "What about the higher classes?" Rebecca asked, though she was not sure she wanted to know. "Class 6 worlds have regular natural disasters. Class 7 worlds have dangerous predators. Class 8 worlds have both. Class 9 worlds have extreme weather that kills most life forms." Kevin paused and looked at Rebecca. "Rebecca, there are no class 10 or 11 worlds listed in their database. Earth is the only Class 12 world they have ever found." Rebecca sat down heavily in her chair. "What makes Earth so dangerous?" Kevin opened another file. This one contained a detailed study of Earth's environment. The aliens had been watching humanity's planet for a long time, and they had documented everything. Ice ages, Kevin read from the report, massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, earthquakes that can destroy entire continents, hurricanes with winds that can level cities, tornadoes that can appear anywhere without warning, floods that can cover thousands of square miles, droughts that last for years," he continued reading. "Temperature ranges from negative 40 degrees to positive 50 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric pressure changes that can kill unprotected life forms. Radiation from solar flares. Magnetic field variations that affect electronics." Rebecca listened in amazement. "When you list it like that, Earth does sound pretty dangerous." "But wait, there's more," Kevin said. "They also studied Earth's biology. Listen to this. The third planet contains predators that hunt in packs, flying creatures that can strike from above, poisonous plants and animals, microscopic organisms that cause disease and death, life forms that can survive in boiling water, freezing ice, and crushing depths. And then there's us," Rebecca said quietly. Kevin nodded and opened the file about humans. "This is where it gets really interesting. They've been monitoring our radio and television broadcasts for decades. They know about our wars, our technology, our history. The alien report about humans was much longer than the others. It described human beings as the apex survival species and the most dangerous life form ever observed. They don't think we're dangerous because we're evil," Kevin explained. "They think we're dangerous because we're incredibly good at surviving. Look at this section." He pointed to a part of the report that described human achievements. "Humans have survived multiple ice ages. They have adapted to live in every climate on their planet, from Arctic cold to desert heat. They have learned to fly, to travel underwater, to leave their planet's atmosphere. They have developed weapons that can destroy their entire world, yet they choose not to use them." Rebecca read over his shoulder. "Humans demonstrate pack-hunting behavior, individual problem-solving skills, and group cooperation abilities that exceed all known species. They regularly risk their lives to save others, even members of different species. They explore dangerous environments for no reason other than curiosity." "Here's the part that really scared them," Kevin said, scrolling to the end of the report. "Listen to this. Humans appear to become stronger when faced with greater challenges. Their response to danger is not to flee or hide, but to develop better tools and techniques. They have turned their death world into a garden through pure determination. If they achieve interstellar travel, they will be unstoppable. The two scientists sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Rebecca spoke. So they're not afraid of us because we're monsters. They're afraid of us because we're survivors. And because we're getting better at surviving all the time, Kevin added. Think about it. 100 years ago, humans couldn't fly. 50 years ago, we couldn't leave Earth. Now we have space stations and are planning missions to Mars. Dr. Patricia Patterson walked into the room, followed by several government officials. She had been in meetings with Washington for most of the day, and she looked exhausted. Kevin, Rebecca, I need you to show our guests what you've discovered. She said. The government officials included people Rebecca recognized from the first meeting. General Patrick Johnson was there, along with Admiral Susan Wright and Dr. Nathan Ross, but there were also new faces, including a woman in a business suit who introduced herself as Director Lisa Carter from the National Security Agency. Kevin showed them the alien files and explained what they had learned. The room was very quiet as he described Earth's classification as a Class 1-2, Death World, and the alien analysis of human capabilities. So let me understand this correctly, said Director Carter. These aliens have been watching us for decades. They've classified our planet as more dangerous than anything else they've ever seen, and they think we're going to become a threat to the entire galaxy. That's what their files suggest, Rebecca said. Admiral Wright spoke up. The question is, how many aliens are out there? And what are they planning to do about us? Kevin opened another file. I think I found part of the answer to that. This appears to be a communication log between different alien groups. The file showed message exchanges between various alien civilizations. The names were strange and hard to pronounce, but the computer had managed to translate most of the content. They call themselves the Harmonious Collective, Kevin explained. It looks like they're an alliance of peaceful species from Garden worlds. They share technology, resources, and information. They've been working together for thousands of years. How many species are we talking about? Asked General Johnson. Based on these communications, at least 47 different civilizations. Maybe more. They have ships that can travel between star systems, and they've been expanding their territory for centuries. Rebecca pointed to another part of the file. But look at this. Ever since they detected our radio signals, their communications have changed. They're not talking about exploration and trade anymore. They're talking about the Deathworlder problem. Director Carter leaned forward. What kind of problem? Some of them want to contact us and try to establish peaceful relations, Kevin said. But others think we're too dangerous to be allowed to develop interstellar travel. They're afraid that if humans ever leave Earth, we'll either conquer the galaxy or accidentally destroy it. Accidentally? Asked Dr. Ross. Remember, these are species from peaceful worlds, Rebecca explained. They don't understand competition or conflict. To them, human history looks like thousands of years of constant warfare. They think we might attack them without even meaning to. Admiral Wright stood up and paced around the room. So we have 47 alien civilizations debating whether to make contact with us or stop us before we become a threat. And we have no idea which side is winning the argument. Actually, Kevin said, I think I do know. Look at this latest communication. He opened a file that had been sent just days ago. The message was short but clear. The Deathworlders have detected our monitoring signals. They are developing faster than predicted. We must decide quickly. Contact or containment. There is no third option. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The aliens knew that humans had found their signals. They knew that humanity was aware of their existence, and they were running out of time to decide what to do about it. 6 months after the first alien signal was discovered, the world had changed in ways that most people could not see. Deep underground in a secret facility in Colorado, the largest military and scientific project in human history was taking place. They called it Project Horizon, and it involved the best minds from every major country on Earth. Dr. Carlos Mendez walked through the busy corridors of the underground complex. He had been the head engineer on 3 different space programs, but nothing had prepared him for this. Around him, thousands of scientists and engineers worked day and night to understand alien technology and prepare humanity for what might come next. Dr. Mendez, we need you in Lab 7, called Dr. Jennifer Park, his second in command. She was a brilliant physicist who had helped design the most advanced rockets ever built. Now, she was working on something that would make those rockets look like toys. Lab 7 was where they kept the most important discoveries. Based on the alien data files that Kevin Blake had decoded, human scientists had been able to understand how alien ships worked. The technology was amazing, but also revealed something important about the aliens themselves. Look at this, Dr. Park said, showing him a holographic display of an alien ship design. Their ships are built for speed and efficiency, but they have almost no defensive systems. No weapons, no armor, no shields. Carlos studied the design carefully. The alien ships were beautiful, like flying works of art. They were made for exploring peaceful space, carrying diplomats and scientists between friendly worlds. They're not warships, he said. They're more like flying libraries. Exactly, Dr. Park agreed. And that tells us something important about the aliens. They've never had to fight anyone. Their ships are designed to run away from problems, not to face them. In another part of the facility, Colonel Ashley Turner was working on a very different problem. She was in charge of military preparations for Project Horizon. Her job was to figure out how humans would defend themselves if the aliens decided to attack. The alien ships are fast, she explained to her team of military experts, but they're built by people who have never fought a war. Their tactics are all about avoiding conflict. Colonel Turner had spent her career studying military history. She had fought in 3 different wars and understood how battles were won and lost. The alien communication logs showed that the Harmonious Collective had no experience with real warfare. They don't understand guerrilla tactics, she continued. They've never heard of asymmetric warfare. The idea of fighting to the death is completely foreign to them. If it comes to a fight, we have advantages they can't imagine. But Colonel Turner also understood that the best war was the one that never happened. Our real job is to make sure we never have to fight them at all. We need to show them that humans can be peaceful neighbors, not just dangerous enemies. Dr. Nathan Ross worked in a different part of the facility. He was a psychologist who specialized in understanding how different cultures thought and behaved. His job was to figure out how to communicate with beings who had evolved on completely different types of worlds. The key is understanding their mindset, he explained to a group of diplomats and translators. These aliens come from garden worlds. They've never experienced real hardship. They don't understand concepts like competition, territorial disputes, or resource scarcity. Dr. Ross had spent months studying the alien communication logs. He had learned that the Harmonious Collective made decisions by consensus. They talked about problems until everyone agreed on a solution. This process could take years, but it meant that when they finally decided to do something, they all worked together. They're not evil, Dr. Ross said. They're genuinely scared. Imagine if you lived your whole life in a peaceful neighborhood where the biggest problem was deciding what to have for dinner. Then you discovered that there was a house full of people who had survived wars, natural disasters, and economic collapses. You might think they were dangerous, too. The hardest part of Project Horizon was keeping it secret from the general public. President Lisa Carter had made the difficult decision not to tell the world about the alien discovery. She worried that people would panic if they knew that extraterrestrial civilizations were debating whether to contact humanity or destroy it. We need time to prepare, she explained to the world leaders who were part of the secret. If we announce this before we're ready, we could cause mass panic. But if we wait too long, we might miss our chance to make a good first impression. President Carter had authorized the construction of humanity's first real interstellar spaceship. It was being built in a secret facility in orbit around Earth, where nobody on the ground could see it. The ship would be humanity's way of reaching, out to the aliens before they made their final decision. Admiral Susan Wright was in charge of the spaceship project. She had commanded nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers, but this was her greatest challenge. The ship had to be fast enough to reach the aliens quickly, but it also had to be obviously peaceful. "We're calling it the USS Voyager," she explained to the engineering team. "It's designed to carry diplomats and scientists, not soldiers. We want the aliens to see that we're coming in peace." The Voyager was unlike any ship humans had ever built. It used new fusion engines based on alien technology, but it also included uniquely human innovations. Where alien ships were built for speed, the Voyager was built for endurance. Where alien ships avoided danger, the Voyager was designed to handle anything space could throw at it. "It's a compromise," Admiral Wright said. "Fast enough to impress the aliens, but tough enough to survive if things go wrong." While the ship was being built, other teams worked on different aspects of First Contact. Linguists studied the alien languages and created better translation programs. Anthropologists tried to understand alien culture and customs. Medical teams prepared for the possibility of alien diseases or biological incompatibilities. Dr. Rebecca Martinez and Dr. Kevin Blake continued their work at the observatory, but now they were part of a much larger team. They monitored alien communications and tried to predict what the harmonious collective would decide. "The debate is getting more intense," Rebecca reported during one of the daily briefings. "Some of the alien factions are pushing for immediate contact. Others are arguing for what they call preventive containment." "What does that mean?" asked General Patrick Johnson. Kevin answered, "Based on the context, it means stopping us before we develop interstellar travel. They're talking about destroying our space technology or maybe even attacking Earth directly." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. If the aliens decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed into space, they had the technology to stop human civilization in its tracks. "How much time do we have?" asked Admiral Wright. "Based on their communication patterns, they're planning to make a final decision within the next 6 months," Rebecca said. "After that, they'll either send a peaceful contact mission or a containment fleet." President Carter stood up. "Then we need to reach them first." "How soon can the Voyager be ready?" 3 months, Admiral Wright said. "Maybe less if we push the construction teams harder." "Do it," the President said. "We're going to meet these aliens on our terms, not theirs." The next 3 months were a frantic race against time. The Voyager was completed ahead of schedule, but it was still an experimental ship using untested technology. The crew was carefully selected from the best astronauts, diplomats, and scientists that humanity had to offer. Captain Jake Morrison was chosen to command the mission. He was a veteran space pilot who had spent more time in space than almost anyone alive. He understood the risks of the mission, but he also understood why it was necessary. "We're not just representing our countries," he told his crew during their final briefing. "We're representing our entire species. Everything we do out there will determine how the galaxy sees humanity for centuries to come." The crew included Dr. Martinez, who would serve as the mission's alien communication expert. Colonel Turner would be the military advisor, though everyone hoped her skills would not be needed. Dr. Ross would be the cultural specialist, trying to help humans and aliens understand each other. The night before the Voyager launched, Captain Morrison stood on the observation deck of the space station where the ship had been built. He looked down at Earth, thinking about the blue and white planet that the aliens called a death world. "Maybe they're right," he said to Dr. Martinez, who had joined him at the window. "Maybe we are dangerous. But we're also the only species that has ever looked at a hostile universe and decided to explore it instead of hiding from it." Dr. Martinez nodded. "The aliens are afraid of us because we're survivors. But maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Someone who won't give up when things get difficult." The Voyager launched the next morning. Its destination was a star system where the aliens had established a monitoring station. The journey would take 8 months, even with the new fusion engines. During that time, the crew would have to prepare for the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. As the ship disappeared into the darkness between the stars, people on Earth continued their normal lives, unaware that the future of their species was racing toward an uncertain encounter with beings from another world. 8 months after leaving Earth, the USS Voyager was finally approaching its destination. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar ship, watching the alien star system grow larger on the main screen. After months of traveling through empty space, they were about to meet beings from another world. "Contact in 30 minutes, announced Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos from her position at the sensor station. She was the ship's navigation officer, and had guided them safely across the vast distance between stars. "Captain, we're picking up multiple alien vessels in the system." Captain Morrison felt his heart rate increase. This was the moment they had been preparing for during the entire journey. "How many ships, Commander Santos?" "At least 12 vessels, sir. They appear to be moving away from us." Dr. Rebecca Martinez looked up from her communication station. She had spent the entire voyage studying alien languages and preparing for this moment. "Captain, the aliens are broadcasting on their standard frequency. They know we're here." "What are they saying?" Captain Morrison asked. Dr. Martinez listened to the translation coming through her headphones. Her face went pale. "They're calling for immediate evacuation of the system. They're telling all ships to retreat to safe distance." Colonel Ashley Turner stepped forward from her position near the tactical station. Even though the Voyager was a peaceful ship, someone needed to be ready if things went wrong. "Captain, it looks like they're running away from us." Captain Morrison had expected many things from this first meeting, but he had not expected the aliens to flee in terror. "Open a channel on their frequency, Dr. Martinez. Let's try to talk to them." Dr. Martinez activated the communication system that had been specially designed for talking to aliens. "Channel open, Captain." Captain Morrison took a deep breath. Everything he said in the next few minutes would determine the future of human-alien relations. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Voyager. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with the Harmonious Collective." The response came after several long minutes. The alien voice was translated by the ship's computer, but Captain Morrison could hear the fear even through the translation. "Deathworlders," the voice said, trembling with obvious terror. "We did not expect you to arrive so quickly. Your speed of development exceeds all predictions. We are representatives of the Harmonious Collective. We formally surrender to your superior force." Captain Morrison looked at his crew in confusion. "Surrender? We're not here to conquer anyone." Dr. Martinez keyed the microphone. "We are not here to attack or conquer. We received your signals and wanted to understand why you fear us. We hope to establish peaceful contact between our species." There was another long pause. Then the alien voice replied, "You are from the Terror World. Your planet attempts to kill all life that exists on it. Your species survives by becoming more dangerous than your world itself. We have observed your broadcasts. You fight each other for practice when no external enemies exist." Colonel Turner almost smiled despite the serious situation. "And they think we fight wars for fun." Dr. Nathan Ross, the mission's cultural expert, moved closer to the communication station. "Captain, may I speak to them?" "I think I understand what's happening here," Captain Morrison nodded. Dr. Ross had spent months studying alien psychology and might be able to explain the misunderstanding. "This is Dr. Nathan Ross," he said into the microphone. "We understand that our world seems dangerous to you. It is dangerous, but we do not fight each other for practice. We fight because resources are limited and because we sometimes disagree about important things. But we also cooperate when we face common threats." "You survived multiple extinction events," the alien voice replied. "Ice ages that would freeze our oceans solid. Asteroid impacts that would shatter our continents. Volcanic eruptions that would poison our atmospheres." "How is this possible?" Dr. Martinez answered. "We adapt. We overcome challenges. We help each other survive. It is what humans do." "This is precisely why we fear you," the alien said. "We have built our civilization on harmony and cooperation. You have built yours on conflict and survival. We believed you would consume the galaxy as you have dominated your world. The conversation continued for several hours. Slowly, Captain Morrison began to understand the huge gap between human and alien experiences. The aliens came from worlds that were like paradise compared to Earth. They had never experienced war, natural disasters, or serious resource shortages. To them, human history looked like thousands of years of constant violence. Permission to come aboard one of your vessels. For face-to-face talks, Captain Morrison finally requested. I think we can better explain ourselves in person. There was a very long pause. Captain Morrison could imagine the aliens discussing this request among themselves. Finally, the voice returned. We will send a representative to your ship instead. It is ... safer for all concerned if the Deathworlders remain contained within their own vessel. An hour later, a small alien shuttle approached the Voyager. Captain Morrison, Dr. Martinez, Dr. Ross, and Colonel Turner waited in the main docking bay as the alien ship attached itself to their airlock. Remember, Dr. Ross said quietly, these beings have never seen real conflict. They're probably more scared of us than we are of them. The airlock opened, and humanity got its first look at an alien being. The creature that stepped through was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Its eyes were large and dark, and it moved very carefully, as if afraid that any sudden motion might trigger violence. I am Zephyr of Gentle Wines, the alien said through a small translation device. I speak for the Peaceful Dawn, flagship of the local monitoring fleet. Captain Morrison stepped forward slowly, making sure not to make any threatening movements. Welcome aboard the Voyager, Zephyr of Gentle Wines. I am Captain Morrison. These are my senior officers. Zephyr looked around the docking bay nervously. Your ship is ... Dari solid, built for war? Built for exploration, Captain Morrison corrected. But yes, it's strong. Our ships have to be. Space is dangerous. This is what we do not understand. Zephyr said, why do you seek out danger? Why do you explore hostile environments? Your broadcasts show humans climbing mountains that could kill them, diving into oceans that could crush them, even leaving your planet to travel in the deadly void of space. Dr. Ross answered carefully. We explore because we want to learn. We take risks because the knowledge is worth it. We climb mountains not because they are safe, but because they are there. Zephyr's large eyes grew even wider. You risk death for curiosity? Sometimes, Colonel Turner said. But we also take risks to help others. Human soldiers will run into burning buildings to save strangers. Human doctors will travel to dangerous places to treat diseases. Human explorers will risk everything to find new worlds where our children might live. This is what terrifies. The collective, Zephyr admitted. You are not just survivors. You are people who choose to face danger in order to help others. We have never encountered such behavior. The meeting continued for several more hours. Zephyr explained that the harmonious collective included 47 different species from peaceful garden worlds. They had been working together for thousands of years, sharing technology and resources without conflict. When we first detected your radio signals, Zephyr said, we were excited. A new species to welcome into our community. But as we learned more about your world and your history, we became frightened. What exactly scared you? Dr. Martinez asked. Everything, Zephyr replied simply. Your wars, your natural disasters, your ability to survive conditions that would kill any of our species, but most of all, your growth rate. In just 100 years, you went from primitive flying machines to interstellar travel. At this rate, you will spread across the galaxy in mere centuries. Captain Morrison began to understand the real problem. You're not afraid that we'll attack you. You're afraid that we'll change things? Yes, Zephyr said. Our civilization is based on stability and harmony. We avoid conflicts and dangerous situations, but you seek them out. If humans join the galactic community, everything will change. Dr. Ross leaned forward. Change is not always bad. Yes, humans are different from your species, but maybe the galaxy needs someone who is willing to face dangers that others cannot. What dangers? Zephyr asked. The galaxy is peaceful, Colonel Turner spoke up. Is it? What happens when you encounter a problem that can't be solved through discussion? What if you meet a species that doesn't want to be peaceful? What if you find a natural disaster that threatens an entire world? Zephyr was quiet for a long time. We run away from such things. We find safer places to live. Humans don't run away, Captain Morrison said gently. We find solutions. We help people who can't help themselves. We face problems that others are afraid to face. This is why you are dangerous, Zephyr said, but his voice was less afraid now and more thoughtful, and perhaps why you are necessary. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the Peaceful Dawn. Another ship was approaching the system, and it was not part of the local monitoring fleet. What kind of ship? Captain Morrison asked. Zephyr looked at the message on his translator device, and his glowing skin turned a darker shade of blue. The alien enforcement ship arrived exactly 6 hours later, just as Zephyr of Gentle Wines had predicted. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the Voyager as the massive vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel. It was 3 times larger than any ship in the monitoring fleet and bristled with weapons that could turn the human ship into space dust. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos reported from her station, the enforcement ship is hailing us. They're demanding that we surrender immediately. Captain Morrison looked at his crew. Dr. Rebecca Martinez was at her communication station, ready to translate. Colonel Ashley Turner stood near the tactical controls. Though they all knew the Voyager's few defensive systems would be useless against such a large warship, Dr. Nathan Ross waited nearby, still hoping that diplomacy might save them. Zephyr of Gentle Wines had remained aboard the Voyager when his own ship retreated to a safe distance. Now the alien representative stood nervously on the human bridge, watching his own people prepare to destroy the ship he was on. Open a channel, Captain Morrison ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was different from Zephyr's gentle tones. This alien sounded harsh and determined, even through the computer translation. Deathworlder vessel, this is Commander. Storm that brings fear of the collective enforcement ship Inevitable Justice. You have violated collective space and threatened the peace of the galaxy. Surrender immediately and prepare to be destroyed. Captain Morrison stepped forward. Commander. Storm that brings fear, this is Captain Morrison. We came here in peace seeking diplomatic contact. We have no intention of threatening anyone. Your very existence is a threat, the alien commander replied. Your species is too dangerous to be allowed to spread beyond your home system. The collective has voted. You must be stopped before you can harm innocent civilizations. Dr. Ross moved to the communication station. Commander, you're making a mistake. Humans are not monsters. We're explorers and problem solvers. We could help your civilization deal with challenges you've never faced. We do not need help from Deathworlders, Commander Storm that brings fear said angrily. We have lived in peace for thousands of years without violence or conflict. You would bring war and destruction wherever you go. Zephyr spoke up, his voice trembling but determined. Commander, I have been speaking with these humans for many hours. They are not what we expected. They are dangerous, yes, but they are also honorable. They risk their lives to help others, even strangers. Silence, Zephyr of Gentle Wines, the commander snapped. You have been contaminated by exposure to the Deathworlders. Report to the medical bay for psychological cleansing when this matter is resolved. Captain Morrison felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. Getting emotional would only prove the alien's point about human violence. Commander, before you destroy us, let me ask you a question. What happens when your peaceful civilization faces a real crisis? What do you do when talking doesn't solve the problem? We find alternative solutions, the commander replied. We negotiate. We compromise. We move to safer locations if necessary. And if moving isn't possible? Colonel Turner asked. What? If the danger follows you? What if it threatens not just one world, but your entire civilization? There was a pause before the commander answered. Such situations do not arise. The galaxy is vast and peaceful. Dr. Martinez pulled up a display on her screen and transmitted it to the alien ship. Commander, these are images from our historical records, asteroid impacts that could destroy entire planets, supernovas that could sterilize whole star systems, galaxy-wide disasters that would require immediate action to prevent massive loss of life. These are Deathworlder fantasies, the commander said, but his voice sounded less certain than before. Captain Morrison saw an opportunity. Computer, show them the dinosaur extinction event. Show them what happened to Earth 65 million years ago. The Voyage's computer displayed a simulation of the asteroid impact that had killed the dinosaurs. It showed the massive explosion, the global fires, the years of darkness that followed. Most importantly, it showed how such an event could happen to any planet in the galaxy. This actually happened to your world? The commander asked, his voice quiet now. It happened to Earth, Dr. Martinez confirmed. It killed most of the life on our planet, but some species survived. They adapted. They evolved. Eventually, they became us. Zephyr looked at the display in amazement. You survived a planet killer event? Not us personally, Dr. Ross explained, but our ancestors did. And if something like this happened to one of your garden worlds, what would you do? The communication channel was silent for a long time. Finally, Commander Storm, that brings fear, spoke again. We would evacuate to other systems. What if there wasn't time? Colonel Turner asked. What if you only had days or hours to stop the asteroid? Would you just let billions of people die? We lack the technology to stop such disasters, the commander admitted. But we don't, Captain Morrison said. Humans have been thinking about these problems for decades. We have plans for deflecting asteroids, evacuating planets, even moving entire populations to new star systems. We developed these plans because we've seen what can happen when you're not prepared. Dr. Martinez brought up another display. This is our current solar system defense network. Orbital platforms that can track and destroy incoming threats. Ships that can reach any planet in our system within days. Technologies designed to protect life, not destroy it. You built weapons to fight your own planet? Zephyr asked in wonder. We built tools to protect ourselves and others, Captain Morrison corrected. The same tools that could save your people if they ever faced a real crisis? Commander Storm, that brings fear, was quiet for several minutes. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Deathworlders, you claim you wish to help rather than conquer. How do we know this is true? Colonel Turner stepped forward. Because we're here talking instead of shooting. Commander, your ship could destroy us easily. But we haven't tried to run away or attack you. We're trying to convince you that we can work together. Besides, Dr. Ross added, if humans wanted to conquer the galaxy, would we really start with just one ship? We'd send fleets, armies, invasion forces. Instead, we sent diplomats and scientists. Captain Morrison made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Commander, I'm going to do something that will prove our intentions. Dr. Martinez, transmit our complete technical database to both alien ships. His crew stared at him in shock. Captain, that includes our weapons technology, our ship designs, everything, Dr. Martinez protested. Exactly, Captain Morrison said. Commander Storm, that brings fear. We're giving you all of our technology freely. Our weapons, our defenses, our industrial processes. If we wanted to conquer you, we wouldn't be handing you the tools to defend yourselves. The data transmission took several minutes. When it was complete, both alien ships were silent for a long time. Captain Morrison could imagine alien scientists studying human technology, trying to understand what they were seeing. Your fusion drives are more efficient than ours, Commander Storm, that brings fear said finally. Your defensive systems are far more advanced. Your manufacturing techniques could revolutionize our industry. And you're giving this to us freely? Zephyr asked in amazement. That's what peaceful species do, Dr. Ross said. They share knowledge to help each other. They work together to solve problems that no single group could handle alone. Commander Storm, that brings fear, spoke again, and for the first time he sounded uncertain rather than angry. The collective will need to discuss this development. The existence of Deathworlders who offer help rather than conquest. This changes many of our assumptions. Take all the time you need, Captain Morrison said. But while you're discussing, remember that the galaxy is a dangerous place. Asteroids don't care about your political systems. Supernovas don't negotiate. And there might be other species out there who really are hostile. When that day comes, you'll want allies who know how to fight back. Over the following weeks, representatives from the entire Harmonious Collective arrived in the system. The debate was intense and sometimes heated, but gradually the aliens began to understand that humans could be partners rather than threats. Ambassador Helen Wright, Admiral Susan Wright's sister, arrived from Earth to lead the diplomatic negotiations. She worked with alien representatives to create the first human-alien treaty, establishing rules for peaceful contact and cooperation. "We're not asking to join your collective," she explained during one of the meetings. "We understand that our cultures are very different, but we'd like to establish trade relationships, share scientific knowledge, and offer mutual assistance in times of crisis." The final agreement was signed aboard the alien vessel Harmony of Worlds. Captain Morrison stood with Zephyr of Gentle Wines and Commander Storm, "That brings fear," as the documents were completed. "It is strange," Zephyr said. "We feared the Deathworlders for so long. Now we find ourselves grateful that you exist." "Why?" Captain Morrison asked. Commander Storm, "That brings fear," answered. "Because yesterday we received a distress signal from the Outer Rim. A rogue planet is on a collision course with an inhabited system. 16 billion beings will die unless someone